here's the quick one on how you can build an AI resume analyzer. We all have been to the position where you post a job position or application, you get a countless number of applications, right? Or candidates applying for it, right? So going through all of this, the resume can be overwhelming and a lot of time consuming, right? So which automation can be a game changer in this process. So one way of handling this would be to build an automation that would go through each resume and provide some kind of a rating that would help us to know how we can shortlist the candidates, right? So I think since we have we are using AI a lot, so with the AI we can analyze the resume based on some of the key parameters like skills, experience, and education, and even more, right? So this would allow us to quickly identify the best candidate, and it would also process this would also allow us to reduce the manual efforts, and it would also help us to hire the best candidate, right? So in this video, I'll walk you through the entire process of how you can build the AI resume analyzer so that you would be able to hire a better candidates in a fraction of time. So uh, let's break this down with the step by step. So here is the first step you would want to do is create a Google form, right? This would act as a hub for your candidates to apply, where they can submit the resume and some of the predefined answer to the questions, right? So in my case, I have created a Google form for an automation position, automation specialist position, where I included questions to assess the candidate skills and experience along with some of the questions, but the the important part is resume, right? So once we have this Google form, what we would want to do is we want to make sure of this data is being stored to the Google form, right? What we would want to do is we would want to make sure of having this form connected to the Google Sheet, right? If you come into the responses option in the Google form, you would be able to connect it to the Google form, so you would be able to store a data like this, right? Once you get a data like this, now we will have the AI to analyze the data and provide a structural kind of a data like this, right? So what we can do is uh, uh, create a form like this and connect this to a Google Sheet. Then we will create an automation that would do the magic for us, right? So let's begin with the fun part of this with the pipeline, right? So let's start with the initial step of how you can build this. The initial step is having the form and connecting it to the sheet. Once you connect it, you would want to do is create a flow in the pipeline, right? With the web option that you would get the web URL. What you would want to do is go to extension. If you don't have this already, you would want to make sure of installing the Pavlik Connect extension, right? Which you can do this by going to extension. There is an add-on option. You can get click on this and install it. If you have this installed already, what you would want to do is set up the uh, web URL by copying this over to here. Once you do that, you want to make sure of setting up the last column, which is H. Once you do that, make sure of submitting some example data and submitting the test request, which should capture the data over here, which you can see over here, right? Once you do that, once you have this data, what you would want to do is come back to the sheet again, go to extension again, go to fabric, make sure of selecting both of this, send on email, send on schedule. Make sure of these two enabled. Once you do that, this is done, this part is completely done. You want to focus on public connect, where you can automate this entire process. Now what we would want to do is we would analyze this this resume, right? So we have the resume, user resume, but we want to extract the content out of a resume and analyze it, right? So what we would want to do is make sure of going to one of the seat, sorry, a drive link. You can go that by going to view folder. If you click on this, it will take you to the drive link, right? So click on this, click on share, Make sure this is enabled with, anyone can access this, because this is very important in order to download this resume and analyze it, right? So once you do this, what you would want to do is you would want to extract the content out of this. If you don't have this enabled, then you would not be able to extract the content out of the resume, because it is private, so you would not be able to do that. So you would want to make sure of this, enabling the share option with the anyone, right? Once you do that, what we would want to do is we want to extract this particular ID, file ID. That would be helpful for us to, get the download thing. That you can do that by using extract file ID, option. There is an option to, format the text. Excuse me. So once you do that, you would have something like this. You would get a ID like this, right? Once you have the ID, which you can do this by doing, get this by doing this. No, we would want to extract the content out of the PDF, right? What we can do is we want to make a use of, some of the PDF extractor or a PDF reader type of APIs that you can use. Right now, I'm using yet another API that you can use. You can make a use of, document parser using yet another API. There is an app for it. You can also use with the public line. This would allow you to, scrap the, content out of PDF, which you can see that I have done the same. Now I have provided the, link to the PDF file, and I would want to, extract the PDF and in the plain text, right? I want to get the PDF in a plain text. Now that the request is being processed, and we would want to have a delay, because yet another API document parser would take a time to process the, data. We would have a 5 minutes delay over here. Once we have that, what we want to do is make a request to the status check. Then we would get the, resume content out of the PDF, right? Now we have the content, the entire content, right? Now what we want to do is we want to analyze the content using AI, right? This is the main part of this. We would want to build or create a prompt that would allow us to, analyze the, data based on some of the set parameters, right? Because we are hiring a automation specialist position, it will mean that we need to have some, set of skills and a certain education in order for us to, hire a particular, candidates, right? So in order to do that, what we want to do is we want to create we want to create a prompt that would take the, some of the parameters and take the user content or data and resume details and the some of this answer to the questions, right? We have some of the questions here, right? Once we have this, we want to use the AI to analyze the data. So if you see this, my prompt looks something like this. You can copy this and it would work best. You can also, make sure of modifying this to make best out of this. Now, what we are doing here is we are hiring a AI automation specialist position, and using these set of parameters. Education, we want to have these, education certifications, and we want to have a particular, these two skills at least for, candidate to have, uh, in order to for us to, process it, right? The output I would want the AI to output is this. See this? I would want the AI to output in a JSON format like this only. The name, strength, gaps, score, and recommendation, right? Now what we want to do is we want to create another sheet, looks something similar like this, that would have email, name, strength, gaps, AS score, and the recommendation, right? Now, what we want to do is now in the same prompt, what we want to do is we want to, submit the customer data or user data or candidate data or resume data, right? Now, this is the resume data. If you see this is the resume data. Now, these are the questions and there are some answers to the questions. You can also see that. You can see this. Now we have the all of the question answers and the data that is required to process this. Now we make a request to the AI or ChatGPT or OpenAI to handle this. Now if you say this, we have a score 7.5. Also we have strength, gaps, recommendation, right? Now we want to do is we want to store this on a sheet. Now the no, if you remember, we have created a sheet with the some of the columns. We can do that using insert, add a new raw data, which you can use it and map it to the data over to this, right? This is pretty much of how this entire thing works. It would save a lot of time for you, and I will also link this, workflow in the video description, so you can copy this. So go through this and see if it would, if you if you can make a use of this, or it would probably help you, inspire you to to create a better automation for this. See if this would be helpful, and I hope this would help. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to answer.